This year, the Philadelphia Flyers will be missing the playoffs for the second season in a row, an issue that has not been seen by the organization in almost 30 years. This then begs the question, what's gone wrong recently after decades of success? Well, the answer might have been in front of us all along. My theory is that poor drafting and poor player development has led to a lack of top-end talent. But to try to prove my point, we're going to take a speed-run deep dive into the Flyers' drafting mishaps over the past few years and how it's impacted their trajectory. Now, for this video, I'll only be going over picks made in the first round, and I'm assuming those who are watching are hockey fans who know these players pretty well, so stats will be kept to a minimal. Overall, since the 2011 draft, the Flyers have had 13 first-round picks, some of them being key pieces to the current core, while others being far from that. However, what is key to look at is who was picked after each Flyers pick, and looking at what could have been if some of these drafts had gone better. In 2012, the Flyers picked Scott Laughton 28th overall, which was a bit of a reach, and you'll see that reach picks kind of become a theme with the Flyers here, as he was ranked 28th amongst North American skaters. There aren't really any notable players picked after Scott Laughton. However, Andrei Vasilevskiy, two-time Stanley Cup winner, Vezina Trophy winner, was drafted one pick before Scott Laughton. Again, not the worst, but Laughton has blossomed into a great leader and a great two-way presence on the ice, but trading up would have been a nice play if possible. In 2013, however, it's where things get a little dicey. With the 11th overall pick, the Flyers selected defenseman Samuel Morin, who was ranked 23rd among North American skaters. Kind of a big jump. And given the four players picked immediately after him, you gotta question what the front office was doing at this point. Max Domi was picked 12th, Josh Morrissey 13th, Alex Wenberg 14th, Ryan Pulock 15th. Not to mention Shea Theodore was drafted 26th overall in that draft. Morin was plagued with a few injuries, but even when playing completely healthy, he never lived up to NHL standard. And compared to the next four players drafted immediately after him, it's hard to say that this was a good pick, even just based solely off of games played in the NHL. In 2014, this was a bit of a toss-up, but the Flyers picked Travis Sanheim 17th overall. Again, another reach as he was ranked 53rd among North American skaters. The picks afterwards, definitely an upgrade. Alex Tuch was picked one spot after him at 18th overall. However, David Pastrnak landed at 25th overall to the Bruins. And him landing at 25 is a tough pill to swallow. The man is a pure, big-body sniper, something the Flyers are sorely missing at this moment. Whereas Sanheim has been a streaky defenseman who is unreliable in front of the net and has put up less than acceptable numbers for where he was drafted. In 2016, this is where it goes downhill. The Flyers, with the 22nd overall pick, selected German Rubtsov, who was indeed ranked 6th amongst European skaters. However, he hasn't really panned out. Notable picks afterwards were Max Jones at 24, Tage Thompson at 26, Trent Frederick at 29, and even Sam Steele at 30. It's hard to say that this was a good draft pick when Rubtsov has played a total of 4 NHL games in the past 6 years, and players like the 4 I just listed off were drafted just mere picks afterwards. In 2017, the Flyers got really lucky with the draft lottery and selected 2nd overall. With that pick, they selected Nolan Patrick, who was arguably in the running for 1st overall pick. However, we all kind of know how that turned out. But before getting into that, the picks afterwards were Miro Heiskanen at 3, Cale Makar at 4, Elias Pettersson at 5th, even Martin Necas at 12, and Nick Suzuki at 13. And admittedly, this is not the worst decision-making we've seen in this list. In 2017, the Flyers had the 2nd overall pick, and they did the right thing in that moment, which was picking the 2nd-ranked player in that draft. However, even before getting drafted, he did struggle with injuries and concussions in his draft year, and, well, he continued to struggle with them as he got older. He never became the future franchise player he was expected to be, and compared to the likes of Makar and Pettersson and even Suzuki, this is certainly a hard one to forget about. However, the Flyers also made another first-round pick in 2018. With the 19th overall pick, the Flyers selected Jay O'Brien, who was ranked 32nd amongst North American skaters. Some of the notable picks afterwards were Keandre Miller, Isaac Lundestrom, and Rasmus Sandin. Jay O'Brien has yet to play a game in the AHL, never mind the NHL. Currently playing for Boston University with 22 points in 24 games, his numbers don't exactly scream that he's getting a chance anytime soon. Compared to the 3 listed who were picked after him, even though it's still technically super early, I really don't think it's too early to call this one a bust. In the end of all of this, drafting is hard, and going about it wrong can derail a team, even if it is a decade into the future. That being said, I hope the Flyers learned their lesson and use what is bound to be a possible top 5 pick in the 2022 draft to pick up an impact player for the next decade and one we can build off of. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.